They're semi-arboreal species. They're great at climbing. They're very strong for that, flexing its muscles. A lot more yellow on those stripes on their head, and then once they get old, adorable snake away from the campsite, so that he doesn't run into any more people, which I'm happy with, not because he's going to hurt people, but because people will improve with the insects and arachnids, mate. Almost tagged me there. Here we go. There we go. So this guy here is a red-bellied black snake, Pseudocus porphyricus. These guys are considered highly venomous, although they won't kill you unless you're very unlucky or weak, have other underlying problems, or you're very small. Their venom can cause necrosis if you're unlucky, although generally not. It'll just make you feel like you've had a really bad night drinking with your mates, and you get a really swollen from these guys' venom. This guy is only a reasonably small one, about 2 foot long. They'll get up to 5 foot, 6 foot if you're really lucky. They're an absolutely beautiful snake, one of the most well-known snakes on the east coast of Australia. Everyone's heard of the old red-bellied black snake, ranging on the east coast from Queensland down to New South Wales into northern parts of Victoria. They're an elapid, they're a front-fanged venomous snake, and they love wetland areas, streams, creeks, rivers, dams, ponds, anywhere where there's water, although this water is brackish, and usually they don't like the salt water, but there's probably fresh water close by, and it's a rainforesty environment, and there is, I think, one species of frog here that can tolerate low levels of salt in the water, like this one. So these guys love fresh water because, one, they're black, so they attract heat, they'll cool down the water, and mainly because water is home to frogs, and a frog is a red-bellied black snake's absolute favourite food. They love to eat frogs. They'll also eat lizards, sometimes small mammals, little birds that are on the ground, and they're cannibalistic, so they will eat other snakes, including other snakes of their own species. So they've got the red on the side, not the actual belly. They're quite commonly encountered. Absolutely gorgeous snake. So they're actually a live bearing species, one of the few Aussie that actually give live birth to their babies instead of laying eggs, so that's pretty special. Filming? Okay. So this guy here, the red-bellied black snake, the little one, he's trying to come up out of the hook, and you can see what he's trying to do now is get away. He's trying to back out of the hook and just get on his way, which he's going to do very soon. Now this guy is a very placid snake. They're very unlikely to bite unless you do pick them up or try to kill them, which is the main reason people get bitten by snakes nowadays. But if you just leave them alone and you even walk up close, they always try to get away. They'll never go at you. But they're a gorgeous snake. Now I found him actually right at the swimming part of the campsite, and there was some people in their kayaks, and they told me to release him down here, which I'm doing, away from the campsite, so that he doesn't run into any more people, which I'm happy with, not because he's going to hurt people, but because people will hurt this snake, unfortunately, which is horrible. It does not need to be killed. They're a gorgeous native animal. We'll release him over here, and we'll let him get back to his hunting for frogs, or basking. Often these guys do come out on overcast days. See, it's not too sunny today. You'll find them out on sunny days, but you can also find them just as easily on an overcast day. It's nice. Coming up the hook there. Down. Getting some water. You might be able to watch this swim. See, just like that, you don't want to go stepping on things like that because they hide under there so good. But you wouldn't even know it was there. This guy, so this guy here is a Stevens banded snake. Oh, he just bit the hook. Hoplocephalus stevensii. They are the rarest snake you can find here on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, the Port Stephens area, one of the rarest. They're a threatened species, unfortunately, threatened by a lot of land clearing because they shelter under bark and in old growth tree hollows. So when all the loggers come in and all of that stuff, that habitat destruction really affects them. And as well, because they're rare and they're a beautiful species, although very grumpy, they are one of the heaviously poached snakes. So everyone will come and they'll find them and they'll take them and they'll unfortunately sell them on the black market. You can see he's actually pulling my hand in back towards him with those, and it's taking a lot of strength actually to hold him back out straight because they've got very, very strong muscles because they're a semi-arboreal species. So they're great at climbing and they've got very strong, look at that, he's flexing his muscles there. And that's how they get you so easy. They're not a snake you want to muck with because they're highly venomous and their venom is very unpredictable. Their venom is very unpredictable. You can see you just got to be so careful when handling one of these dudes because they're very shy species. They always try to get away, but when cornered and picked up, they are pretty readily biters, and they're not a huge fan of the old dry bite. They can do it, but often they will give in venomation, and their venom is has some unknown effects. There's been a few people bitten. They're classed as potentially deadly, so they could kill someone, but let's be close. But what they do, one of the worst effects of their venom is it'll actually give you renal failure, so failure of your kidneys, which isn't nice, and they can also do a whole lot of other nasty things with that venom. It's a whole brew of different kinds of toxins found in a lot of other species venoms. They've got a bit of tiger snake like venom in there as well as quite a few other things. So they just do a lot of bad stuff to you, but they're possums up there. They're a beautiful species. So these guys live in rainforesty environments along the east coast of Australia, and they mainly live in mainly live in rainforest areas from Queensland. They live mid-north Queensland down to just north of Sydney, and not too far west to about the Great Dividing Range. They love to feed on frogs. They will also eat lizards, so sleeping skinks and dragons, and geckos. Occasionally might eat little mammals, birds. They're pretty hard to handle, a bit whippy and unpredictable, but they're an absolutely gorgeous snake. You can see why they get the name of Stevens banded from those bands, which don't go on the belly, so that's how you tell them apart from bandy, which how people confuse them for, but some do. They're in the Hoplocephalus family, the venomous tree snakes. All three have very similar venoms. They're a nocturnal species, like all of that genus. So you don't find them out in the day, unless it's very strange situations. But yeah, they come out at night. During the day they hide under bark and in the tree hollows and that. They don't like human contact much. But what a gorgeous snake. So we're going to take a few photos and then I'll let him go. So here's this adorable Stevens banded snake. Now he's just sitting here posing for photos, and I took him some decent-ish photos. But because he's so grumpy, you can see right there, he's in a big strike position. I don't want to disturb him any longer. He's obviously had already too much of his liking. And now, before he was already a bit grumpy, but now he's just really had enough of us. He doesn't want any more interference, so we're just going to leave him and just walk away and leave him be to do his thing. Once we're about 5 minutes away, he'll probably uncoil and then he'll start going off and doing his thing, hunting, maybe on the road for a bit of warmth, but I found him here on this forest walk. So I was going to be pretty unhappy that he got bitten by a roughie and he had to go home because he wanted to lick one of these guys and the other one was too small. But this guy is not quite max size. He's definitely a breeding age adult, but occasionally they'll get a little bit bigger. Yeah, there's a Stephen defender. So this is another common scaly foot, as you can probably tell by now. We found a decent amount of these guys. This is a pretty good size. And it's actually pretty fat, so it could possibly be a gravid female, or just been getting a good amount of food, which for it would be insects and arachnids mainly. Now you can see this one on her tail, she's had this tip regenerated, and it hasn't even grown the scales back over it yet. So that's what this first stage is after it falls off. First it'll heal and stump over, and then they'll get this little black bit that looks like the end of a pencil, and then the scales will start to grow back on. But, yeah, you can see they're a beautiful animal. So they can be nocturnal and diurnal. I found So this guy here is a small brown-faced marsh snake. So this guy is really small. They do get bigger than this, up to about 60 to 90 centimeters long. This is the brown phase, which is more common in some areas, but around here seems to be split evenly between the puffin and this black phase. You can see the younger ones all seem to have a lot more yellow on those stripes on their head, and then once they get older they fade into more of a cream colour. These are a nice little snake. They're common in many environments on the east coast, usually near water sources, but sometimes just in any kind of bush. Often found in people's backyards as well. Common little mildly venomous but harmless snake. So we'll release him again here.